Hello, Giants fans, and welcome to your Valentine's Views podcast for Friday, October 28th. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and subscribe anywhere you listen to podcasts across the Big Blue View radio network. All right, Giants fans, we've got to start with some thoughts on Thursday's Kadarius Toney trade by the Giants to the Kansas City Chiefs. First, if you haven't listened to the Chris and Nick show, where Chris Flum and Nick Filato offered some immediate thoughts on the trade, yet on Thursday afternoon, right after it was announced, please check that out. You'll find it both on YouTube, on the Big Blue View YouTube channel, and across the podcast network as well. Both of those guys, they went live yesterday right away after the trade to offer some immediate reactions, and their thoughts are obviously worth giving a listen to. Also, check out all of our coverage of the Toney trade at bigblueview.com, including Twitter reaction, immediate analysis, Tony Del Genio's look at whether or not the Giants got fair value in return for Kadarius Toney, and more. So we've done everything we can to cover the Toney trade from as many angles as possible. So please give our work a look at bigblueview.com. All right, my thoughts quickly are: listen, I thought the more that this went on, the more Toney didn't play. He's only played in 12 games over 2 years, hasn't played since week 2. You had to wonder more and more if Toney was going to be part of this Giants team long term. And listen, I'm surprised at what Joe Schoen was able to get in return for Kadarius Toney. I had been wondering if he would be able to move Toney at the trade deadline, even though there was a lot of speculation that he might want to. I just wasn't sure, given all of the games that Toney has missed, given all of the maturity concerns, dependability concerns, all of the things that tend to swirl around Kadarius Toney. I had been concerned that he wouldn't have any value to the other 31 teams around the league. But the Kansas City Chiefs made the Giants an offer, compensatory third-round pick, which is obviously the very, very bottom of the third round, and a sixth-round pick. And I'll be honest with you, I think that's more than I would have expected that the Giants would have gotten in return for Kadarius Toney. Giants now have 9 selections in the 2023 NFL draft. Listen, I think that Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll tried to make this work with Kadarius Toney. My belief is, and I don't have anything on the record, I don't have any inside information on this. My belief, from what I know about Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll, is that Kadarius Toney's probably not a player they would have drafted if they were in the situation that the Giants were in a year ago. I think they probably would have gone elsewhere with that pick, but they're also both people who I take at face value the things that they say. I believe they try to give people a chance. I think they really tried to make this work with Kadarius Toney. I think that circumstances simply got to the point where they realized it wasn't going to work with Kadarius Toney and the New York Giants, and that they finally decided that they simply had to move on and see if and just move into the future, move on without Kadarius Toney, get what they could, and go forward from there. Listen, I can't sit here and say that I disagree with the idea of what the Giants did a year ago, of what Dave Gettleman and Joe Judge did, trading down from number 11 to number 20. Obviously, Giants fans are still upset about the fact that Micah Parsons was on the board, Rashawn Slater was on the board, and the Giants still traded down. Listen, I understand that frustration, but I believe the Giants did the right thing. They moved down, they got the 20th pick, they got a bunch of other selections. They were able to pick up with those selections. They made a trade to get Aaron Robinson, who's a good young corner. They got Daniel Bellinger, who's a good young tight end. The problem that I have is they selected the wrong player at number 20, and now Joe Shane and Brian Daboll have decided to move on. Daboll was pretty tight-lipped about the whole scenario on Thursday. He just said that the Giants decided that this was the best thing for the team, best thing for the organization, and they made the move. So that's that. Kadarius Toney is now a Kansas City Chief. And for me, listen, I know that people will watch Tony's career, and if he happens to succeed in Kansas City, there will be a lot of angst. There will be a lot of, oh, we should have kept him. We should, why couldn't he do this for the Giants? And the reality of it is, whatever he does in Kansas City really doesn't matter. Whatever he does there, whatever success he has in Kansas City or anywhere else he goes, it simply wasn't going to happen with the New York Giants. That had become obvious. It just wasn't going to work. He wasn't a player who fit what Brian Daboll and Joe Shane wanted in New York. And you just can't worry about what he does from here on out. What you should focus on really is what the New York Giants do now. Do they use some of their draft capital to go out at this point before Tuesday's trade deadline and add a wide receiver? There's a lot of speculation about Jerry Jeudy of the Denver Broncos, third-year player who might be available. A lot of rumors that there might be some talks between the Giants and the Broncos. And I could understand the Giants making a move for someone like Jerry Jeudy. I have often said, look, you can't make moves even though the Giants are 6-1, even though they're doing well, even though they're exceeding expectations and people are thinking playoffs now and how deep a run the Giants can make. You can't make short-sighted moves. For me, I've talked quite often about a possible move for DJ Moore, wide receiver from the Carolina Panthers. For me, a Jerry Jeudy move fits this same type of mold. It's not necessarily a 2022 move. Jerry Jeudy is on an inexpensive rookie contract, has a base salary this year of a little bit over $1 million. I think it's the same next year as well. And he's, as I said, he's signed through the 2023 season. So depending on the price tag, you get a good young wide receiver. I think Judy's still only 23 years old. And you get a chance to look at him not only this year, where he would upgrade the talent in the wide receiver room, but you get a chance to look at him on an inexpensive contract next year as well. What the Giants have to weigh is, what is the price tag? Is that year and a half of Jerry Jeudy worth the likely day 2 draft assets that the Giants would have to give up in order to get him? Or are they better served to just work with what they have for the rest of this year and look to use some of that draft capital to upgrade the wide receiver position in the 2023 draft? The cap stuff works in a trade for Jerry Jeudy. I wouldn't mind seeing it. I don't expect it, to be honest with you. I know there's a lot of talk about it. I wouldn't expect it. I would expect Joe Shane to hold on to that draft capital and perhaps try to find a wide receiver in the draft with some of his draft capital, a wide receiver, maybe 2 wide receivers who he would have under control on a rookie contract for 4 years rather than a year and a half. So those are the kinds of things that Shane has to weigh. Is Jeudy talented enough? does he make enough of a difference to give up that draft capital right now? Again, I think it's a move that I might make if the price tag is right. I don't know how many other teams out there are interested in Jerry Jeudy. I wouldn't blame the Giants at all for talking to Denver about this. We'll see what they ultimately decide to do. But as I said, for me, it's the kind of move that makes sense because it's not really a short-sighted 2022 type move. So it makes the trade deadline a little bit more interesting from the New York Giants perspective. And we'll see what happens over the next few days. All right, Giants fans, the other thing that I want to do today is I want to make my weekly prediction for the Giants game this weekend. Obviously, Giants are facing the Seattle Seahawks. They're 2.5 to 3 point underdogs this week on the road in the Pacific Northwest. But we'll see if the Giants can continue their winning streak, get to 5 straight, get to 7-1 before the bye week. For me, I can't pick the Giants to win this game. I just can't. I look at it, I think this is a very difficult matchup for the Giants. They're traveling across the country. They're going to be in a really hostile environment. Couple of their road games, even the one in London, pretty much turned into a Giants home game. The one last week in Jacksonville pretty much turned into a Giants home game with the way that fans traveled and the way that things unfolded in the stadium last week. That's not going to happen this week. 12th man in Seattle is a real thing. Seahawks are a good football team. And this just feels like a matchup that's very difficult for the Giants. Seahawks score a lot of points. Giants are a team that tries to control the pace of games, keep the score down. I'm not sure they're going to be able to do that on Sunday against Seattle. Giants have had a lot of trouble defending the run. Seahawks are a team with rookie Kenneth Walker III that runs the ball very, very well. Geno Smith has been enjoying a resurgent season for the Seahawks. So I simply feel like this is a very difficult matchup for the Giants, and I cannot pick them to win on Sunday. Obviously, I'm picking Seattle to win. If I look at it from a Giants perspective, though, that would put them at 6-2 heading into the bye week. And I don't think anyone can complain about the New York Giants being 6-2 at the bye if that's how it ultimately turns out. No one expected what the Giants have done so far. No one expected them to be a truly good football team in 2022, and 6-2 at the bye. If you had said during the preseason, during the spring, whenever before the season started, if you had said, "Hey, the Giants are going to be 6-2 at the bye week," then I think everyone would have signed up for that. So, as I said, I'm picking the Seahawks to win this game. And then the Giants get to the bye week. They come back. They face the Detroit Lions and the Houston Texans before the final 7 games of the season, where the difficulty of their schedule ratchets up. And we'll see what happens over that final stretch. But as I said, I'm going to pick Seattle to win this game. Please remember to check out all of our picks, all of our Big Blue View staff picks for every NFL game at bigblueview.com. Check those out. See how the other Big Blue View writers feel about Giants Seahawks as well. And please remember that if you're dropping by Big Blue View partner DraftKings to drop a little bit of money on Sunday's game or anything else to do with the NFL, that minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. Please see our show notes for full details on that. All right, Giants fans, that is the show for today. Appreciate you guys listening as always. And please remember to stay safe out there, take care of each other, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.